All right, on my Kootenay Scout, day one. Started off rather quick going down Beaverfoot Road, and then turned into an afternoon of a lot of backtracking and going down random paths and realizing I couldn't go down that, and dead ends, and probably 40-50 kilometers of kind of wasted energy. And I was starting to turn around actually and head back towards Beaverfoot Lodge and figure out what the heck I was doing, because I could not find my way south to Highway 93. And lo and behold, as I was trying to find high ground and some cell reception, an older couple drove up beside me and got to chatting, and one of the few cars I've seen today. And they'd said they'd seen my tracks, and I'd happened to go down their driveway, or their road anyways. Had turned around, one of my turnaround points, because I came across a sign that said private property, and there was gunshot marks all over the place, and it was very apparent to me that I didn't want to trespass on this land. Anyways, older couple says, "Oh, that's our land." And you know, we had a guy a few years ago come through there who I'm thinking might have been Doug Eastcott, the author of Backcountry Cycling. I'm loosely following some of his directions. And they said, yeah, that road that you're on is Settlers Road. It's well, it was used by settlers in the area, headed north-south through the valley. And you're welcome to go through there and stay on our land. Tons of mosquitoes out right now. And they're like, oh, we've got a little creek and farmhouse, or a cabin I should say, and you're welcome to pitch your tent there, because they weren't sure what the road ahead would be like. They figured there'd be a lot of downed trees. So I just wanted to show you, this is the place that I ended up at. It's the coolest little nook in the woods. Tiny little cabin. But they come here on weekends, and yeah, they're like, pitch your tent here. And you know, it reminds me a lot of actually the Toaster House in New Mexico. Just kind of random knickknacks, really kind of, you know, very unique, I should say, and a very cool place to stop. So it's only like 8 o'clock right now. But I'm seriously considering stopping here. One, for there's flat grass, and I don't know when I'm going to get a better spot than this. Beats kind of finding a random spot in the woods. But here we go. The things you come across by happen chance. Pretty neat. Anyways, I'm going to fill up my water bottles and have something to eat and take it from there. Alright, day one done. Alright, day two. Coming up to towards the end of day two, well, the end of the daylight on day two. I'm going to try to ride a bit later tonight. I rode till about 11 o'clock last night. Trying to make up some ground for all the detouring I did in the afternoon. Around the Beaverfoot Road. I'm on my way right now through Valley. Can't remember the name of it, through to Fernie. In the background, kind of around the corner, is White Swan Lake, and what you see zigging up the hill is pretty common in these here parts, is fire roads that just like kind of zigzag all over the place, and it's kind of neat. Like, this is one of the better views I've had all day, and try to focus in the background there. You know, you see that road over there, and it just looks like something you'd see in Europe going over some mountain pass, but yeah, it's just a fire road that ends up just probably dead ending. It's kind of inspired to think that someday, you know, you could you know, get a group of motivated people together and try to link up all these roads that, you know, I'd be curious to know how much of a purpose they still serve. You know, if all the logging, you know, you can see all this hillside's been logged, and yeah, it'd make for some pretty epic bike packing routes instead of relying solely on forest service roads and, you know, kind of limited single track. That's usually just around the towns. Next one, like I said, being Fernie, and then Cranbrook after that. So yeah, just wanted to stop, capture this view, and you know, people often wonder, what am I thinking about all the time? I'm not listening to music anymore. I haven't been the last year. You know, it's looking off in the distance and thinking, you know, what if? And try not to think too much about what can sometimes be a slog ahead. But good thing about the path I'm on at this particular moment is you can't really see too much further than the next bend, which is nice, because this morning coming by oh geez, I'm gonna forget the lodge name, but Kootenay crossing, it'll come to me now, I'll probably link it right here, but coming through that area en route to Canal Flats was a lot of really open gravel roads, and you get a lot of distance done, and unfortunately there's not kind of an alternative through that valley. But for me, the guy who switched from road cycling because he didn't like long stretches like that, I found it a bit of a slog this morning. So surprisingly, after you know, I'm somewhere around 130 kilometers maybe, I'm not really keeping track. You know, consistent uphill for the last hour plus. I actually have more energy now than I have all day, just because mentally I'm more in it. So a good lesson that a lot of this is just finding the right mental triggers, and the legs will follow. If you're not in a good headspace, I find just everything feels a lot, or you start to feel the aches and pains a lot more, and you feel tired and just don't enjoy it as much. So good lesson, and a good point for me to try to find more of these paths that I'm on. No cars up here. Alright, it's gonna start getting dark here pretty soon. Alright, day 4, headed up the Wild Creek Canyon, which came up from the Wild Horse River Canyon. It's quite the little climb up from Fort Steele, and this is part of the Kootenay Gravel Grinder, I believe, event. So I've been following parts of that route the last couple days. Yesterday was very much a choose your own adventure, as I missed a small but crucial turn into Fernie from the Bull River Canyon, and ended up going 80k or so off route. But hey, you know, when you're scouting areas, I guess nothing's off route. You're just getting more familiar with the surroundings. So yeah, headed right now up towards, I think, the top of the world's provincial park, and then north towards White Swan Lake and back down into Canal Flats. And as you can see, I've been in full business mode. It's quite warm this afternoon, making sure to get lots of air on the belly button. But naturally, as it does in the mountains, it started to rain. And as I climb up, that always makes for interesting conditions. So I'll get back at it, but one of the few times where I've actually had a break in the trees and can see the water. And stop to smell the roses, as they say. In the midst of a hike-a-bike, I was thinking about what is the goal of a bike-packing guidebook of the Rockies, and so many of the trails, really any day, you need GPS, or I'd strongly recommend that you have it, because you'll come to a fork in the road and there just won't be a sign, and it's not always the smartest idea to guess where you're going. So I'm thinking, you know, if I'm kind of telling people right out of the gate that they need GPS for these kind of places, you know, what's the point of a guidebook? You know, of course I'll list directions, but you know, GPS would be kind of my first go-to as far as navigation tool. So I think the point of a guidebook of the Canadian Rockies is really to kind of inspire people to want to come, so to describe the environments. And this is just one of those views right now, kind of a backcountry ATV trail. I've been biking for the last half hour, 45 minutes, and just, you know, really amazing panoramic views. So, you know, you can't put that in a GPS, but you can put that in a guidebook. So I was just having a thought as to the direction I want to take this. Anyways, cool little view. Still more up to go. Oh my goodness. Some of these backcountry trails are pretty overgrown in sections, and as I've been kind of flying downhill, is usually the case, sometimes I've blown right by the turns and found myself on an animal trail that looks just as worn and might be just straight ahead, and I'll totally miss the turn. Point in case, I have now found myself 2K off trail, hiking, and through some pretty precarious terrain, and what started as a wide trail got narrower and narrower, and I was thinking, well, maybe it's a connector. And you know, I've seen stuff like this on the Divide where you kind of have to hike through some bush, and then it gets thicker and thicker, and to the point where I can't even, you know, push my bike or carry my bike. And holy hell, I realized I've gone the wrong direction. So I start going up the mountain, down the mountain, trying to look for the trail, see where it connects. And again, good to have GPS, because I have to go and find my bike again. So I've now been walking through the woods, and I've just spotted it up again, just up the trail here. Take your GPS, kids. It could save your life. Day 5, headed up the West Side Road, which actually has pleasantly been a nicer ride than I was expecting. So West Side Road's headed northbound through the Columbia Valley, headed towards Golden. And not too long ago I posted an Instagram shot of me laying down saying, you know, tonight I might spring for a hotel in Golden because my aromas have aromas. And lo and behold, who's the first to comment? My sister says, you know, surely there's got to be a river or something to cleanse yourself with. And you know what? I knew it was a lame excuse when I posted at the time. Oh, hey buddy. Oh. But you know what? Sometimes the dude just gets to the point when he's been out in the woods for a while, when he's craving, just laying naked on a hotel bed, with a box of pizza, watching dumb TV. So my original answer sounded better, but that's the real answer. You know, just every once in a while you hit kind of a saturation point with being out in the woods and start having cravings. And this particular dude has a craving for pizza, laying naked on a hotel bed, and just turning on the AC. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, okay? Of course there's water nearby. There's a river right there. Just want some pizza, you know? Alright. West Side Road. I'd throw up a West Side sign right now, but I think I'd crash. Alright. Peace. Alright. Day 6 of 7. I am about 50, 60 kilometers northeast-ish of Golden. These are sort of things I figure out after the fact, after I look at my GPS. I've been heading up the Blaeberry River Road with the intention of climbing up and over Amiskee Pass and then down into Field, which after much probing with the Yoho park folk, it sounded like it was doable. Whether or not I'd want to is a whole other thing, and I'd probably have to do a bunch of bushwhacking according to them. But I like the word doable. It's better than you're not allowed. But anyways, I've gotten to, geez, really the end of the Blaeberry Road, where I was supposed to start climbing up a fire road up to the pass, which I have a feeling might be somewhere up there. I can see a road in the hills there. But as it happens in the backcountry, this is what's happened to my road. There's apparently been some flooding out this way. And this has happened a few times in my scouts. In Kananaskis is the last time I can think of, where I look across these flooded river basins and kind of think, where would I put a bridge if there was one previously, and how would I get to that road up there if it's even possible. This is a little deeper water than what I had to ford in the Kananaskis area, and it's pretty quick moving, and as you can probably expect, pretty cold. I'm going to give it a bit more of a go here. I see, where is it, over here? It looks like a break in the trees where the path kind of continues in the woods. So I can only assume that maybe the bridge over is a little further down. It's hard to say. So I'm going to bushwhack kind of around the corner, get over there, and the likelihood of this being included in the guidebook, kind of minimal, but honestly, if this is the worst of it, then maybe that's not such a bad thing. Alright, no luck. Couldn't find a way around the fast moving stream, and I suspect that any bridges up this way have been washed out, even if they are up that way. So, bit of a gamble on this one, but unfortunately didn't pan out, but at least I'm a little bit more familiar with this area back here, and you know, should things change, happy to give it another go. But when you're scouting a guidebook, you know, you gotta take some of the risks and try to blaze some of the new trails. And not that this was necessarily a new trail, but you know, it was connecting some old passageways, and you know, I was probably gonna have to hike or push or carry my bike, but it was doable. And I hadn't heard of anyone in my kind of circle of friends that had done this before, so it was gonna be a bit of a first. Alright, I had to get one more video here before I rip down to Golden. So there's been a few people out this way, not many, mostly kind of dirt bikers and ATVers, and so I saw this kind of older couple camping, or not camping, but having a fire by the river not too far from where I just turned around, and I'm like, oh, I gotta get a second opinion, maybe I'm totally missing something here. And so I asked them, do you know about this fire road that you can take up and over, and apparently it's car friendly, and it's, you know, pretty accessible grade for most motorists. And they're like, yeah, it was a great road about 10 years ago, but as soon as they stopped logging out this way, a lot of the kind of roads have fallen into disrepair. And taking a couple snapshots of one of the side roads I was on, and there were signs saying deactivated road, and that's the first time I've seen signs like that. So I said, yeah, 10 years ago, that would have been great. So, you know, it's funny timing because one of the resources I have is a backcountry cycling book that was suggesting this might be doable. And guess how old it is? Well, I don't have the date in front of me, but I'm quite certain that it's over 10 years old. So, just goes to show you how things change and how, you know, being the author or the publisher of a guidebook, as I've heard from Rocky Mountain Books, you know, the job doesn't really end. You know, you always have to come up with new versions of the book to stay on top of things like this that happen. Because, you know, people, for better or for worse, sometimes don't do their own research and just read, you know, go off your word for everything that they do, including their safety. So you can imagine if someone wasn't experienced and they got themselves up here at night and then got lost, you know, a little bit of that ends up kind of falling on me. So, just wanted to add that side note. I asked for a second opinion, I got it, and apparently I'm not losing my mind. Alright, well, on a lighter note, all the food that I was planning to carry up and over the pass, and you know, having to kind of take in small amounts at a go, I can just have a buffet right now. So I'm gonna start with M&Ms. Here we go.